Fantastic. Okay. I hope everybody is still paying attention. But I'm Oscar, so I'm one of the solutions engineers over at Encord. So Encord is essentially an MLOps platform for everything in your training data layer. So basically we can integrate with your cloud storage, bring your data into the platform, and then we can do data curation, annotation, and then also model evaluation on your data all in one place. And now, just like a quick show of hands, who here has either labeled data as a student or done this manually before? And wonderful, wonderful. Good to see lots of hands up. So we started off as a computer vision platform, and now we work with documents and audio as well. And so today we're going to be showing how you can go about curating some documents for extracting text and semantic understanding from the data. Brilliant. So here we're looking at Encord Index. So this is essentially where we can stream your unstructured data from various different cloud storage or local upload, whatever, into one place. So here we're looking at all of our different documents. And let's say we're interested in finding all of the ones where we have invoices. You can see that there's some pre-planning going on here with my suggested text fields. And what we can do is we can return all of the documents that from our clip embeddings have been generated in this view here. So we can see here that we have these balance sheets, we have these adjournments, we have some financial information, all unstructured. And so we have customers who are doing this where they're scanning in documents and they need to extract the fields and also the understanding from the overall document. So then if we say, okay, these are all matching my understanding of an invoice, I can select these and add them to a collection. So if we go in and we say, okay, we'll add them in for our invoices. And this data curation can be managed up to hundreds of millions of assets. So we can see there that what we've done now is we've identified the right data for annotation. So we're not just going through and labeling everything kind of randomly. What we're doing is we're intelligently selecting the data that's relevant for our use case. And so now from this point, we need to go through and annotate it. So you can see here in a separate tab, we've set up an annotation project. So at the moment, we have no data in this project, but we have this workflow. So whereas previously, this would require, in order to label where my text is in the document and the kind of semantic understanding of what my document is, we would need somebody to go through and tag this and draw polygons or bounding boxes, write down the text, and this would be laborious and expensive. But now we can see with these, with the Encord workflow builder, what we can do here is set up these custom flows and actually add in these agent nodes. So these are completely customizable, and you can see here that I've added in an OCR agent node and a GPT classification. And now if I switch over to my IDE, what I can do is I can kick off my two agents, right? So I've got two different agents that I can just run, and then these are now spinning on the side, waiting for some data to be added to my project. And now what we do is we go back to our curation view and we say, okay, so now I want to go about annotating my invoices. So from here, I can add these to my data set, add these in here. So provide my dataset ID and then submit that like so. And now if we go back to our queue and refresh, we can see here that we have our 18 tasks in our OCR stage. So now our annotator, and now our data is in our project and we've started annotating it. And you can see here in our other tab that we can now see that our agent has registered that we've had some tasks that have entered our queue and it's started to execute. Fantastic. So we can see here that we now have data that is at various different stages of our workflow and is being automatically annotated. So if we go to some data at the bottom of our queue here, we can see here our financial information example from earlier is completely unannotated. But then if we go through our various stages, we can then see that we've got our GPT classified and then our data that is in our review stage. So this is if we want to have a human annotator go over and take a pass, we can go through and we can see that we've annotated all of our different paragraphs. So this is actually using Google's Document AI API. So we can define what level of granularity we want to extract our text. And so we can see, like so, we basically identified all of the text and applied these classifications. And so we saw in the workflow earlier that we were doing the classifications using our GPT-4o API connection. And what we can actually do here is you can see that these annotations have come out in a like multiple choice selection. So what we do is we can actually create these structured ontologies. So say these are the things that we're interested in annotating in our documents, and then generate a kind of structured JSON output with a pedantic model to tell GPT that this is the format that we want our annotations to be provided. And so that means if we want to output content or theme and we want to say that this is financial, or rather like if we're looking for kind of like legal, or we wanted to have multiple layers of structure, so we can see here that we have this high level industry classification of financial services with an investment summary as our kind of like subordinate class in there too. And so all of this is made possible with the agents framework. And what this is essentially, and this is open source, this code, you can go and find this yourself and just pip install it. Essentially, we built a framework for developing these agents for annotation really fast. So we can access automatically all of the files that were in our different workflow nodes. So we have this structured data development pipeline, and then we can perform any kind of custom interactions. So if this was if this was a vision case, then we could run any kind of detection cases, any kind of tracking cases, and bring these into the platform automatically. And as we saw, bring in our kind of human in the loop review processes too. And so we can see here that we've got our different agents that we've kind of defined. So for our GPT classification, in here, essentially, what we're doing is we're just using this agent wrapper to be able to pull our document via a signed URL, and then pass this to the OpenAI API to then generate our classification based off a prompt. And the same in here for our Google Documents API connection. So what we're doing again is getting our file, passing this to Google Docs. That's then generating the bounding polygons in the text, and we can then pass this in to the platform. And so all of this annotation that would have previously been done manually can now be done using these agents in this workflow. And because the nodes are kind of separatable, we can also reuse them in different pipelines depending on the use case. Fantastic. So I think that's us at about 10 minutes. So I think maybe we have some time for Q&A. But yes, this is the Encord agents framework. And that was interesting. Thanks.